Welcome to Mindset 52 with JR Rivera. Today's guest is Brittney McAllister, a realtor here in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining. Today's conversation, I really want to get to know Brittney. Brittney, let's start with your journey, where you come from. Are you originally from Omaha?
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
So I was born in California, but my parents moved here when I was like 6 months old. So yes, raised here in Omaha, and that's perfect because that's kind of where this all starts. My mom got her real estate license when I was 11.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I distinctly remember helping her study for her real estate exam and help giving her flashcards and going over words, things like that. So when she passed her test and just started real estate, I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I'm going to be when I grow up. And that was truly everything from that point on. Any career aptitude test or paper I would write, everything was about how I wanted to be a real estate agent when I grew up.
So you knew from day one. That's crazy. You were 11?
Yeah. Yep.
That's fantastic. So you grew up in real estate. How was that growing up? Did you go to open houses? Did you get the whole experience as a kid?
Yes. I mean, I feel like sort of. I of course, saw mom wheeling and dealing and listening in the car and going to open houses, listening to her negotiate things and meet new clients. And I think that's where a lot of truly, and I've told my mom this, my mom's still in real estate, by the way, she still is selling, but a lot of the things that I do, the foundation that I have was from the business that she started. So most of what I still do today is the foundation of what mom had going on. I just sort of 10x'd it and, built this huge business, but around clients and relationships and treating people right and taking care of the people when you're working with them, all those kind of things. So that was all things I learned from my mom. Yeah.
It's all the fundamentals that I feel like from the outside in, at least in real estate, it seems like there's sometimes a little more attention to some of the stuff that doesn't really matter as much, maybe. But some of those fundamentals about treating people right, doing the right things, sometimes they go by the wayside and people focus more on the shiny, oh, what are they doing for reals, kind of situation.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. So you knew kind of what it took to be a realtor. You went to college here in Omaha. That's how we met.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how we met back at UNO.
Yep. So I originally, which was not the best plan when you are going to start talking to people from high school or whatever college for business later on. Originally, I went out to school in Connecticut. So I graduated here from Millard West, went out to Connecticut for 3 years, was on an acrobatics and tumbling team at a school called Quinnipiac. I ended up tearing both my Achilles tendons. And
that sounds painful. Yeah. Oh my God.
Which I know we were talking about adversity. So that is, that sucked. So tore both my Achilles tendons. I was like,
How does that even feel? Is it balance or is it just pain?
So the first one I did was, I was actually a senior in high school, but you just sort of feel off balance. It just kind of pops really quick and then you can't walk.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was like, you know what? I'm old. I don't have, at the time, I was like, everything hurts. I'm just going to go home and do real estate. That's what I wanted to do. So transferred to UNO. And that summer before my senior year of college, I did all my real estate classes. I passed my test July 31st of 2015, started college classes a couple weeks later at UNO as a senior. And that was it. So I was doing real estate full-time and school full-time, essentially. Yeah. I didn't have any clients, but I think I told you that story. I told all of our professors, hey, if my phone rings, you have to let me answer it because nobody knows I'm a student. And everyone's like, okay. I just thought that I was a realtor now. My phone's going to ring. Phone never rang. That's not really how it works. But that was the idea. It was I'm going to sell houses. So.
It's the shine in your eye. You already had that enthusiasm about the industry. When I met you, I was in insurance as well, but I wasn't unsure of what I was doing or where I was going. You had a little bit more of a direction, I feel like. But here we are, both 12 years later. With that, do you feel like that kind of came with a plan, or did you just kind of wing it at the time, just kind of try to just go on and create every year as it came?
Good question. So when I started, my mom was like, your goal should be 2 houses a month. So she's like, your goal for your first year should be 24 houses. Come to find out, she just like pulled that out of nowhere. She made that up. She's not even selling 24 houses a year. She just was like, I'll throw it out there and see what happens. Well, as a like natural people pleaser, I was like, oh my gosh, that's my goal now. So that first full year I did 20, or is it 24, 30, somewhere in there, transactions.
Yeah.
And I was
That's
like, oh my gosh,
phenomenal.
I
That's
did it.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, but that was like, I think that's the biggest part of getting started is like, if you don't have a direction or you don't have a goal, like there has to be a goal. And I think, I mean, we could talk forever about goals, but like you can't just pull now knowing, you can't really just pull a goal out of thin air. You can, and that's what we did, and it worked and fine, like carry on. But I would say I very quickly became obsessed with goal setting like that. And I think there's like a healthy way and a not healthy way. And I've sort of done them both, but you can't just pull a number out of thin air, and then you can, I guess, for a period of time. But I feel like that's how you kind of get burnt out, possibly.
Is that what you mean by non-healthy?
Yeah. Just
like, throw in a number.
Yeah, like I'm going to sell, I hear this all the time. People, I'm going to sell 100 houses. Okay, why? Like, why? Why do you want to sell 100 houses? I don't know. Or like, how many did you sell last year? Like, I sold 90 last year. Well, I'm going to sell 90 this year. Okay, do you want to sell 90 because Brittney sold 90, or do you want to sell 90 because that's important to you and it's going to get your family the things that you want? Like, so just those conversations are different now. Of course, when I started, I was 21, living in my mom's basement, didn't even own my own house. I had no idea what I was doing. So I'm like, yeah, 24, that'll do it. Like, we'll just see how it goes. So I do think it's okay to pull a random goal out just so you have a baseline. But once you have a baseline, then you can set your goals based on that. Like, okay, did I miss it because I didn't put the work in, or I put the work in, but the business didn't come, and now I have this pipeline that's going to come for next year. Like, there's so many things that you can like look once you have kind of that baseline goal.
But you need that. You need something to reference as you're growing, and you have grown and continue to grow your career. How does that process change, or do you have now more of a strategy every year when you're setting your goals for the next year, or is that kind of just a relay of the previous year and adding on and changing it, adapting, or what would you say your strategy is for? Do you have a mentor, somebody that guides you a little bit?
I feel like over the years I've had coaches, I've had kind of mentors, all kinds of things. I'm not in coaching currently, but yes, I would say so. Early on, I think I would watch other people like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have that. I want to do that. So then you're sort of chasing this vision of what you see other people doing. So, I did 30 so those first few years I was at a brokerage where there was an award they gave out, and come to find out, like, the award was completely made up. Shocker. A lot of things I feel like you will find in like the world of sales or entrepreneurship, like there's a lot of these things that are geared toward people's egos, and they just kind of keep you going because we'll give you this fancy award. Like, nobody cares. It's all made up. So anyway, but it's important because at the beginning, that's what drives us. I didn't have kids. I had nothing else. I'm like, this is all I have. It's real estate. So I wanted to sell 50 houses. That was my goal for a very long time. And so that was because somebody else gave me that goal. And I think that's one of those, like, once you sort of, I don't know, you can tell people all day long, like, but until you live it, it's hard to say. So the one year that I had a goal I had set a goal of selling 81 houses. And 81 was very specific. It was based on, I had done the math, like, okay, I just need to go find this many more clients and this and that. So we had set the goal for 81, and I finished that year with 81 houses.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it was very, like, I think that's
Was it because you followed the plan, do you think, or was it partly coincidence, do you think?
Probably both. I think we had a plan. Of course, there's things that went to plan, things that didn't go to plan. But I think, so yes, you have to have, I think there does need to be a guiding light. You need to have something that's like pulling you toward that. Like, what happens now? This is where I think not boundaries, but like for me, I was just trying to hit 81 because that's what I told everyone the goal was. And then I did that. I sold 81 houses. And then that was sort of where this idea that I do a lot of like reading and things about just, I don't know, self-development and like goals. And I had said this once when I was being interviewed on different, like, this guy was interviewing me on stage. He's like, so then what happened after you sold 81 houses? And I was like, well, I think that was just it, like literally nothing. literally nothing happened. Like there was no parade, that nobody cared. It was sort of like, okay, cool. Now you're on to the next. Like time keeps going. And that's the hard thing I think in sales is as soon as you hit the goal, whether you hit it way before the end of the year or you hit it at the very end of the year, like it closes, whatever, like then you roll into January and now it's like fresh start. You're back at zero. What's your goal now? Like,
so sorry to take you away from this episode, but I did want to take a quick second to introduce today's sponsor, which is Kano Complete Cleaning. They do everything from commercial, residential cleaning, to floor cleaning, tile cleaning, and everything in between. For all your cleaning needs, reach out to Kano Complete Cleaning.
So that was why I really started leaning into, okay, what's important about the goal? You can't just throw out a number because nobody cares. So like, is it 81 houses means that I get to go on some trip or that I can take, X amount of time off or do this, or just, you have to tie something to it that's bigger than just 81 houses.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's a great segue back into talking about how people set up goals. If you were giving advice to somebody barely getting into real estate now in 2026, which is a lot different than back in 2015,
yeah.
what would you tell them? What would you give them as an advice for goal setting?
Oh gosh.
That's a hard one, I guess.
It is. It's hard too, because I think you live it and then you're like, oh gosh, I would never do that again. But I do think that some of it, yes, I think that some of it, some of it is a grind. Like I would never tell someone like, oh, don't respond to a client after 9:00 at night. Like at the beginning, like everyone that's living and breathing and has interest in buying or selling a house is your client. So like, not saying that you need to not have boundaries or allow people to disrespect you or your time. None of that. I still think you can put those boundaries in place. And you also it is a grind. Like I remember, I think there's a statistic. I believe that it's like 90% of people that get their real estate license will fail out in the first 5 years. Yep. So I don't know if insurance is similar, but
it's not as bad, I don't think.
Okay. But that's like, dang. Okay. Like there's a lot of people that are going to go get their license. They're not going to make it. So that was always in the back of my head, which I was like, oh my gosh, okay. I just have to make it to year 5. I just have to make it to year 5, which then year 5 was COVID. So that's crazy. Yeah. But that was also great, I guess, a great time for real estate. So if I was going to tell someone right now, I would say it's hard because I think they need to figure out like what their thing is. So
how do you figure that out? Is it there based on their personality? Do you think that's kind of an attribute that you use towards that?
I think so. Yeah. I think if it's tough because you want to go listen to people who are doing it, and then you want to go like recreate what they're doing. But I also think you have to be mindful of like, I don't know. It's sort of the idea of like, okay, if you want what someone else has, you have to go do what they do. Yeah. If you're not willing to do what they do, then you're probably not going to have what they have.
Right.
So, okay. But then also keeping in mind, like, well, is that something you like doing? For example, I'm not a door knocker. Yeah. I'm not going to go knock on doors. Yeah. So like we were talking about another agent, like he built his whole business like that. Yeah. Like that's not what, I have no interest in doing that. I feel like it's more efficient if I like can call or do, So when I first, and then kind of back to like what mom was doing, I think I used to get really frustrated because I was on my mom's team when I first started and she had a couple other agents on her team. And I would say, not that she had no business running a team. I think she just didn't really know what kind of the goal of her team was. It was sort of like, I'm going to start a team because I want my daughter to be with me. And then there's a few other people, whatever. Well, I used to get really mad because my mom is not really a morning person. Like she likes to sleep in and kind of, chill in the mornings. Well, she, in my opinion, like she earned that. Like she worked her ass off for years and years and years and worked late nights and was showing houses and doing this and doing that. And we give her crap now because I'm like, I distinctly remember like crock pot dinner. Like we always had roast, but I think it's because it was easy for her to throw it in the morning because she was showing houses at night. And so to me, it was like, I didn't like that the people on her team were like, it felt like they were taking advantage because I'm a morning person. I would get up, I'd get to the office, I'd like start my day early and I still do that. And so it was frustrating to me that they were like, oh, well, Sheila doesn't come in early, so we don't have to come in early. I'm like, no, she earned that. Like, she doesn't have to come in early now because so that I think is where it all kind of started too. It was like getting up, get to the office. Like for years, I would be the first one at my office. And of course I had no kids. I had nothing else like stopping me, and then that was it. I just sort of started doing things that other people probably were doing. Like, And no one thinks of it like this. So I know now new agents are like, oh, I don't want to do open houses, or I just want to, post on social media. Maybe it'll bring me business. For me at the time, that was, I don't know, 2015. There wasn't a ton of real estate agents on social media. TikTok wasn't a thing. Reels weren't real. I don't know. It was just different. So I was putting things on social media, but I was doing it in a way that was felt authentic to me. And so that's still what I'm doing now. And I just now am getting, so it's been 11 years and I'm just now getting business from social media,
right,
where they are watching things, or, oh, I saw so-and-so and they recommended. So some of that is just going to take time. It doesn't matter how long.
It's almost like the social media is just the banner, but it's the reputation that allows that banner to even be effective.
Yes.
You do have to do that kind of stuff, but I think it's almost like you're shooting in the dark if you don't have something to back that up.
Yes. I think social media is it's your online resume, but I also think they're going to go to social media to see if they like your vibe because they saw you somewhere else, or they were referred to by somewhere else. So they drove by your sign and saw your name. So I never, when I'm planning my goals, I never bank on social media being a lead source. I use social media as a way to stay in touch with my clients, to stay relevant, to do that kind of stuff. But I'm not just because it's not as predictable.
I agree with you there.
Yeah. Whereas I think, open houses, for example, I would do 4 open houses every weekend. I'd do 2 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. People are like, oh my God, how do you do that? Well, do you want business or do you not want business?
Right.
I think so. That's where for me, that that hustle, that deep down, it's well, do you want to be successful or not? So you do have to do those things. And then I would call for sale by owners, and I had a whole for sale by owner system, and I would call them on Mondays, because who is the saddest on Mondays? People whose house didn't sell over the weekend. So I call for sale by owners, and I'm like, hey, did your house sell over the weekend? No, it didn't sell. Oh, that sucks. Probably because you didn't have an agent. Of course, you don't say it like that. But those are the conversations that I was having and then I would have a whole system. Yeah. And that really, with the for sale by owner thing, that's where the idea of a system, I think system is a buzzword in our industries right now, but you have to have a system. And that was my first system that I made. And now I'm in a position where everything we do has a pretty thought out system.
Yeah.
I don't even know where that question started, but yeah, for new people. I think you figure out what you want to do. And then so there's a book called Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I don't know if you've ever read this book. So I have read that book. And at the beginning of my career, it was I think, so part of that book is, it's an upside down triangle thing. And it says you need the foundation before you can be creative. So you need to do all the basics before you can add your spin on it. And I do think that's true to a point. I would just say when you're going to model somebody, whether it's me or you find another agent online or whatever, if you're going to go model their business, I think it's important that you make sure that they actually have the business they say they have, probably. Make sure that their life is, I had a coach tell me this once, don't ever coach with someone whose life you wouldn't want to trade places with.
I love that.
And that was a big eye-opener for me, because at the time I was coaching with someone that I was oh, I don't think I would have wanted their life. And so that's okay. And then, just who are you surrounding yourself with? Now, with a new agent, I think the important thing is you have to take everything with a filter, because you're going to bump into an agent at the office. You're I think I'm going to call for sale by owners. And you're going to talk to someone who's don't call for sale by owners. They suck. You're going to be yeah, okay, never mind. And then you're going to go to someone else who says oh, you should definitely do open houses. Someone else will be don't do open houses. At some point, you just have to pick something and then go do that thing really, really well. I think a lot of agents, especially at the beginning, try it's a bunch of shiny things. They try to go find a bunch of shiny things right up front. And you just have to do 1 to 3 things really, really well for an extended period of time. Instead, I think a lot of people will go find 10 things, and someone told me to go post on social media. So I did that for a week, nothing came. So then I went and did an open house for 1 week, and I didn't even get any buyers. So I'm not doing that anymore. Now I'm going to go do, you can't just hop. You have to pick a couple things and do it consistently for a long time.
Yeah, and I think what you mentioned earlier too, the grind, you can never remove that from the equation. And it's like, there's a saying, something like, I'm paraphrasing now, but extraordinary results require an extraordinary amount of work.
Right.
You can't take that out of that equation without that work. It just becomes a bunch of nothing, you know?
Yeah.
So unless you get lucky, but that's usually no substance behind it, you know?
Yes.
So.
And honestly, some of the stuff is luck, but I also think those, well, there's another quote. It's like, I get, which is true. I feel like I get really lucky when I'm also working really hard.
Yeah.
And so I do think that, like, and it does happen like that, I swear. And Liv can attest, my director of ops, like, I will be, every once in a while, I'm like, oh, we need to do lead gen. Like, okay, it's time. So I'll sit down, I'll start making calls. And I mean, the calls are usually like, fine, no, we don't want to buy a house. Okay, great, whatever. Call someone else that registered on my website 6 years ago. Hey, did you ever buy a house? Yeah, we already bought one. Yeah, okay, great. So I'm having those conversations. And then all of a sudden my phone, I'll get a text like, hey, I got your number from so-and-so. And I'm like, nice. Yeah. So it always happens like that. Where like, and I think that is the idea of like, just positive momentum. Like you have to go do something. Like you can't just sit here and hope your phone's going to ring, or like, go out, go talk to people. Like you have to put yourself out there, and then business will come. But yeah, you have to
like you're calling it to the universe.
Yes, yes.
But sorry to take you away from today's episode, but I did want to mention today's sponsor, which is also Accent Insurance. Accent Insurance is your go-to insurance agency here in Eastern Nebraska and Iowa. We are here to provide services for all kinds of insurance, from home insurance, auto insurance, life insurance, and everything in between. For all your insurance needs, reach out to Accent Insurance. Putting in that work. Talk about your team. So you have Arrow. Who's all in the part of the group?
Arrow, yes. Okay, so Arrow Real Estate Group. So when I was on my mom's team, when I first got licensed, her team name was Team Irish. And that's my mom's last name. So people would always be like, oh, are you Irish? I'm like, no, I'm not Irish. So I was always like, no. And so I vowed if I ever had a team that I was going to name it something that was not like Brittney's team, because I wanted it to be something that everyone could kind of buy into. It meant something. So I made up Arrow. It's ARO, and it stands for, the A stands for authentic relationships. The R is real estate experiences, real estate experts, and the O is outstanding experiences. So those were the things we wanted. I wanted people to know that when they work with us, they're getting great experience. They're getting authentic people, like show up as you are, and we're here to help you. And just, overall, it's a good experience. And so we've had a couple different paths along the way, but now there's 4 of us. We have so me, I'm a realtor. We've got Liv as our director of operations. So she is kind of our keeper of all things. She's making sure that our client events go off as planned. She makes sure everyone gets their newsletters. She's keeping everyone informed. She's really like, I don't know, I could probably put a bunch of titles on Liv, but she's the keeper of everything. And then I have Taylor as my showing partner. Taylor McCain, she's awesome. She's also a licensed agent, so she's a realtor. Our paths kind of collided in at the perfect time where she's like, hey, I like real estate. I just don't have a ton of clients. I was like, that's great. I have a ton of clients. I need help showing houses. And so Taylor's job is to go and she shows all the houses. She is always looking for houses for clients, all those kind of things. And then we have a virtual assistant named Allie, and she is our transaction coordinator, make sure all our T's are crossed, I's are dotted, gets paperwork where it needs to be. But between the 4 of us, that's the other thing is, I would say don't compare your day, for a newer person, don't compare your day 1 or day 5 to my year 11. Those are not the same. And I think I didn't realize that too when I was getting started. I was always, shout out to Megan Owens. I love Megan. I was always comparing myself to Megan. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be like Megan when I grow up. And I held her on this pedestal. And, little did I know she was at the time probably 10 years in, or, at least 5 years, but definitely probably closer to 10 years in at the time when I was getting started. And I was like, how did she do that? Oh my gosh, I want what she has. And so that was always another thing too. It's like, you have to grow. It just takes, some of it just genuinely takes time. Yeah. So we've got 4 of us that are doing the job of that some agents just do on their own. So
that's phenomenal. And you've created the systems, the buzzword that you mentioned, but you created that structure based on the needs that you encountered at the time. It wasn't like you were just like, oh, I should probably get this, or it was all strategic as you went along. Do you feel like at this point you're comfortable with what you have right now as a system, or are there a few things that you thought about right now improving or changing in the team?
That's a good question. I think, yes. So part of it was building it based on, so that's also an interesting thing. Again, back to kind of like, I found earlier in my career, I was always just doing things that other people said I should do. So I felt like, oh, other people said I should have a team like this. So I built a team like that. And it was like, I think if you, back to goal setting, I think if you do things that are for other people and you don't really have a goal, like it has to mean something to you. So if you're building a team because someone else said you should build it that way, like it's probably not going to mean a whole lot to you. And so, yes, when it actually all this framework kind of came out of when Morgan was born. So my daughter was born 3 months premature. She was only 1 pound, 3 ounces when she was born. And yes, so she was itty bitty. We didn't even know if she was going to make it, honestly. And that was like, I needed to be with her. So I needed to be at the hospital. We were in the NICU for 9 months. And that was like, okay, well, I still need to show houses. So that was where this structure came, was like, I know that my value in this moment is not physically being there to show the house. And so we started the structure with a showing partner. And so now Taylor's value, like her full-time job is to go and show the houses. And that's what she's an expert at. The way that she explains it to clients too, and that we have this conversation, it's like a doctor and a nurse relationship. Like, the doctors that doesn't come in and do your blood pressure and take your vitals, that's not what they're the best at. But that's what the nurse does. And that's what Taylor does. She's the best at taking the vitals, getting the information, going and finding the things that you're looking for. And then I'm the best at, because I've been in it for a long time, at negotiating. And I have those client relationships. And like we talked about answering the phone, like I have that, I don't know, respect maybe like in the market, that like if I call people and they answer and we can like, hey, I have a buyer for your house, and they're like, sweet, I'd love to do a deal with you. So that's where my value is, and then I can help guide them through the process. And so I don't even remember where this was going, but structure wise, yes. So I started building and as a lot of things I feel like is more so out of necessity, versus before I was just kind of building it because that's what someone said I should do. And then it wasn't until like chaos happened that I like, okay, now I need to do things for me, need to do things for my family. And so that was what set up this structure. And then, there were several years where I didn't even increase the goal. There was 1 year, the goal was 75 and we did 59. That was the year Morgan was born. And then the following year, so 2024, I left the goal at 75. Like, that's fine. Just leave it at 75. I don't need to increase it. I'm not going to lower it. It's whatever. So, and that year, Colin, my son was born in August. I knew he was going into the year. Of course, I knew I was pregnant. So we knew that August was whatever, he was going to be born. And so we sold 75 houses by August.
That's awesome.
So it's like when there's a plan and there's like, okay, then cool. So then, of course, last year, 2025, we're like, okay, well, if we can sell 75 by August, like we could for sure sell 90. Like, let's just try it, whatever. So I think last year, I don't remember if we had increased it last year, if we left it. I think we actually left the goal at 75 last year because it was like, well, maybe it was a fluke. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. And then we sold 90. So now this year was the first year we increased
90 homes last year?
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So that was 90. And then so this year it was like, okay, well, now let's have the goal be 90. The really weird thing about goal for me is that, like, yes, I can say all those things about goals. And it still is like a really weird feeling we were way behind the goal. We had a really slow quarter 1. And now we're rocking and rolling. We've put like 11 houses under contract this month. We're at 33, close and pending for the year. So just over 13 million. Like they're picking up. The market's great. But it is just still really weird. I'm like, we're behind the goal. Well, the goal's made up. It's all good. Like, and it doesn't matter how many awards you win or things you like. And that's back to like the clients. At the end of the day, your clients don't care how many houses you sold necessarily. They like that you have the track record. They like that you have the experience. But at the end of the day, your clients just want to know that you're going to take care of them. You're going to give them the best experience. You're going to help them hit whatever their goal is. They don't care really that like you sold 90 houses or that you like won some big award or, and so that's like, even now it's like when I'm on appointments, I'm like, well, here's the houses we sold last year. And they're kind of like, okay. And they have no reference. They don't know. Like even insurance, you could go tell your clients like, oh my gosh, we have like yesterday when you guys were like, we have 200 Google reviews. Liv was like, oh my God. Like she's like, how'd they do that? Because we've been trying to get Google reviews and like until if someone doesn't have a frame of reference, they have no idea what you're talking about.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
So you're talking about this. You're Brittney. You're also a mom.
Yep.
And you're a wife. And you're Brittney. You have your own personal goals. How does that mesh with your professional goals? And how has that changed over the years, the last few years? You know, with your daughter and everything changing. How does that affect your goals and your priorities?
Oh gosh, it's changed everything. Yeah. I think I didn't really know that it was going to do that. But that's like, once you're a parent, it's like, oh dang, it changes everything. And I honestly look at what I've built. I'm very, very proud of what I've built. I think, I don't know, like I want to give flowers to the parents who build businesses when they already have kids, because I have no idea how people do that. Like, I was fortunate enough to start at a young age, and I worked my butt off and built this giant business with no kids. So now it's a little bit easier, like, I guess, to do it. It's just different. The time that you're doing things is different. Your patience is different. You have a different amount of grace for people and situations. I feel like there was the realtor Brittney, like, for 8 years before kids, and now there's like the realtor Brittney now. So some things I still have patience with, but some things I don't. So I will say, like, I have
selective patience.
Yeah, I have no interest in the busy Olympics. So agents that are like, everyone's out here trying to win gold in the busy Olympics. Like, I'm busy.
I think that's a millennial thing.
You're not busy.
It's like,
and so then I have to be mindful. I'm like, listen, like, so then I sometimes get sassy. I'm like, listen, like, I sold 90 houses last year. I had 2 kids under 2. You're not busy. You just are not making it a priority. So, like, then I'm like, okay, calm down. It's all good. Like, we're going to be okay. So I just have no patience for, like, quote unquote busy. But I do understand, like, timing now. Like, I don't know. I'm not good with a lot of calls between like 5 and 7, because that's like chaos time and dinner and things. So now and it is funny because I didn't know that. Like, early on in my career, I would do all my listing appointments after people would get home from work. And I just thought that's when they wanted to do the listing appointments. And so along those lines of, like, creating boundaries, I don't know, I could go on this for days too. Like, we teach people how to treat us. And we set our boundaries. So if you said to a client, like, hey, like, what night next week works? Well, you just told them to pick a night next week. So now they're looking at their nights. Little did I know. And then they don't know because you're the professional. So they're like, it's the same way when you go to the doctor. You're not like, oh, hey, doc, like, I need you to get in at 7:00. No, the doctor says, hey, you'll be here at 11. You're like, yes, okay, I'll be there at 11. So now I understand that, like, that's how people set appointments. So I would do all my listing appointments at night, and then I'm thinking to myself, like, gosh, why do all my clients want to do this at night all the time? They didn't even want to do it at night. I've talked to clients, they're like, it was actually the worst time. Like, I had a terrible day at work. I come home, the kids are screaming, my wife's trying to make food, you're trying to tell me what my house is worth. I don't even know what I had no concept that was the worst time.
That's such a real statement in a lot of businesses out there. A lot of people that are business owners, I feel like, shoot them. They grab the gun, they point it at the foot, and then they shoot it.
Yes.
Straight up.
And that is like, I had no idea. I'm like, oh my God, I was doing like, and then they're tired. Like, nobody wants those things. Then no, that's not how things happen. Like, anyway, so now I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the worst time. So now I'm like, hey, what day time next week works? People are like, oh, I don't work on Thursdays. Do you have any time like Thursday at 10? Yes, Thursday at 10 is perfect. Like, my nanny's home till 4. Like, yes, but you weren't giving them the option. And so it's all about, that's all like client, like the expectations that you set, and a lot of it is the language we use. So now I'll look at my calendar and someone will say, like, hey, can you come over? And I'm like, yeah, let's see. I could do Monday at 9 or Wednesday at 2. Which one works best for you? And then they're either going to pick one of those times, because those are the times you gave them, or they're going to be like, and they'll suggest something that's maybe around those. And then, like, I rarely go on listing appointments at night or on weekends anymore, which is so crazy because that's all the appointments I did for 8 straight years.
The majority of the real estate community.
It's all just because of the language I'm using.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's amazing advice. And, coming from a point of experience, I mean, it's where really the gold is found in these kinds of industries.
Yeah.
Well, Brittney, if you had one last question for you, if you had yourself right now in front of you, 21 years old, and you were to give Brittney McAllister advice, 21-year-old Brittney McAllister advice, what would you say?
Oh gosh. I don't even know. I would just say like just do the things. Like keep doing the things. Like don't just get started. I think especially in today's world, there's a lot of like you're worried about what other people think. And I would say I've learned that most people, including yourself, most people are paying more attention to what they're doing and not paying that much attention to what you're doing anyway. So like no one's gonna know, like just go do the things, like do the work. The business will keep showing up, and not being so much afraid to like do the wrong thing, because there really is no wrong thing. You're either going to do it and it's going to work and you're going to be praised for it and you're going to go on podcasts and talk about it, or you're going to do something and it's not going to work and then you're going to know how to do it better next time. And I think there's really no failing. It's just it worked and you keep doing it, or it didn't work and you fix it.
I love it. Thank you so much, Brittney, for being on the show. I really appreciate it. Appreciate you being on and telling us your story and talking a little bit about your point of view in the real estate community and everything that you've done. So thank you so much. I appreciate you being
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.